Fist of the North Star on the NES was released in 1989 by Taxan, known for such games like Low G-Man, the excellent G.I. Joe, and the misunderstood classic that is 8 Eyes. Developing was handled by Shoei System, and this is actually the second installment of the franchise called Hakuto no Ken Part 2 on the Famicom. You play as Kenshiro, a master of martial arts and all-around do-gooder on his quest to crush the evil gangs and warlords to save his people. It seems to follow the storyline of the battling of the 4 Gento bosses and not finding his main squeeze, Yuria, which is fine because you can only whip Shin so many times. The controls are pretty simple, except for one thing. The B button kicks and the A button punches. This is one of those games that uses up to jump too, which isn't so bad because there's only a certain area that requires careful platforming, otherwise it's fine. When you fill up some of your meter, you can shoot a fireball by pressing both buttons, but I could only do that one so often. It was kind of finicky when I wanted to throw a fireball or not, so it wasn't the greatest. The only really janky thing is entering doors. See, you have to press the right button while pressing A and B. It's really weird, and when you have fireballs saved up, yeah, you can pretty much kiss those goodbye. So that's the only really weird, janky control scheme here. Traveling around the wastelands, you might find secret power-ups like silver and gold necklaces. This isn't a Mr. T starter set either, as the silver chain gives you an extra fireball and the gold temporarily gives you invincibility. When you get that item, just plow through enemies and move to your goal as fast as you can here. You can also find these flag items that restore some of your health. Gameplay-wise, this is a pretty straightforward single-plane beat-em-up. It feels very satisfying to smash your way through throngs of baddies, so it checks that box in spades. And you have certain levels that you have to pick, the right path, pick the right door, pick the right staircase, that kind of thing. The main problem is pretty much one that plagues all shoot-em-ups. When you die, you lose all your star power-ups. These bad boys, when you're fully powered up, make the game a whole lot easier, especially the turbo attacks and super speed. But once you lose a life, you'll have to start all over again, and in the second half of the game, the bad guys like to shoot like a bajillion projectiles at you, so it can be a chore to work your way back up. Fist of the North Star isn't really a looker per se. The sprites are rather simple looking, with faceless mooks running towards you waiting for your wrath. Come to think of it, if there's not really much in the way of enemy variety. You've got your standard wasteland punks, your soldiers clad in green armor, and your odd-looking mini-bosses sprinkled in. With the exception of bosses, there's no size variety or anything. It's kind of a bummer. However, one thing the developer did manage to get right is when Kenshiro gains enough power, his shirt will explode off of him, revealing his buffness. That was a cool touch. I would say the backgrounds you fight in are a little better in variety. There's arenas, fortresses, the inside of said fortresses, hideouts, ruined wastelands, and others. So you even get to smash through bricks to proceed in certain places, which is always a cool thing to do.
Very good. But brick, not hit back.
The music doesn't fare much better, however. You have quite a few number of tracks here, but they all vary in quality. The main theme is probably the best, but the boss song is way too obnoxious. There are some nice voices here. Kenshiro's famous martial art "ta-ta-ta-ta" thing made it in. That's pretty cool. And some of the enemies say gibberish just before they die, so that's neat. It's a shame that some of the better tracks are so short, they get really repetitive to listen to. Too bad. I've got to say, Fist of the North Star, if given to a developer like Capcom, Konami, or Technos, they would have made a memorable hit. But as it stands, it's about average. The challenge is good, especially if you die in the later levels. And while the graphics and music controls, they all do the job, but don't really excel in any category. Overall, there's some fun to be had here. I give Fist of the North Star a bronze medal, but just barely.